animated films since the 60s.
Yes.
Yes.
That-
Are you offended by?
Yeah, that was just scary. I
You seem
I
surprised.
suddenly realised what that meant. Yes, but yes, technically yes.
What's the greatest difference from doing animations today?
All the digital technology has changed it because the sort of animation I do is very handmade. You know, it's very spontaneous and literally hands-on. I'm sure that everyone knows, but it's like if this was my animation puppet, you know, I've got a camera and I move it a little bit, and I take a frame and I move it a little bit, and I take a frame. It's not normally as simple as that, but that's how it's done. That's basically how it's done. And when I started, all that process was it was done blind. All the information was stored on the film, stored in the camera, and you couldn't see it. Whereas now in the digital age, of course, I can constantly check the animation on the screen. So these days it's more accurate, and there are less surprises. I quite like the surprises, but it's very addictive. You know, animation. It's a very magical thing to do. And those that haven't done it, it's hard to capture how magical it is, because you go through a process which is repetitive.
Mm-hmm. It sounds terribly repetitive.
But I think many jobs are. You know, I mean, I think writing a book is repetitive. You just sit at the desk and you write. You're doing the same thing all day, but your brain is always working. So people say. People often ask, "Oh, you must be very patient," and I don't. No, I don't think so. I don't. I don't think are you patient when you're writing a book? I don't think that's the right word. Because you're concentrating. You're trying to do something. And people say, "Do you get bored?" No, you never get bored because you're thinking too hard. But it's a process that you do, and you're working towards an end. But you can't see the end while you're doing it. And especially in the old days, in the days of film, you would then have to wait 2 days or 3 days for it to go to the laboratories and come back from the laboratories. And then you could see what you'd done. And that is a magical, magical feeling, because you've gone through a process which is repetitive, yes, and slow, and you animate and you have a cup of tea and you animate and you listen to the radio, and it's all fragmented. And then when it comes back on film, wow, it's alive magically by itself, and that's a very, very powerful feeling.
You still do all the animations by hand, which must be very time-consuming. Yes. Yep. Why, instead of computers, for instance?
Well, that's our secret weapon, I guess. It's doing it by hand. I just believe in it. I care about it as a technique. It has all kinds of properties, handmade animation, and one of them is that on one level, the audience can see it's handmade. I hope they can see it's handmade. It's not smooth and perfect like computer animation. And I hope that the audience is aware of the maker's hand on it and of the craft in it. Now, always I would say, but the main thing is the thing they should be thinking about, the audience should be thinking about, is the story. Yes, they should be care about the story, care about the characters, want to know what happens next. All those very simple things. But in the back of their brains, they also know that this is kind of real. It's funny to say it's real because, of course, it's a film trick. It's an illusion, but it's an illusion that sits in a solid reality. And knowing that the sets are real and the puppets are real, knowing that people have touched it every frame is important to me. And then on another level, it's not so perfect. it has about it some of the properties of live performance. And now this is surprising to people, because if I tell you some terrifying statistic and say, that one animator shoots 2 seconds in a day, that's a good day, or that, that
because this film took you 5 years, I think.
Yes, yes. So 2 seconds a day, people think, they think that's some kind of torture or some extraordinary self-imposed suffering, but no, it's not that. But although they only shoot 2 seconds a day, it has about it the properties of live performance, because you start at A and you move to Z, and when you start, you don't really know where you're going. You want to get there, but you don't really know, and when you get there, you can't go back. So you try to get it right once. You can't always. Sometimes you need take 2, sometimes you need take 3, but you can't just fix it. With computer animation, you do that. You get this position and you get that position, then you go to the positions in the middle, and you can change it. And if you don't like it, you go back and change it again and perfect it. So computer animation has about it much perfection. I think there's some analogy like the stop motion animation, as we call it. It's like to me, it's like a live performance of music. So a live performance of music isn't perfect. There are inaccuracies. There are false notes. There's humanity in there, as distinct from the perfect studio recording. There's something like that. So I think and believe that some of that quality of spontaneity and liveness and live action comes across on screen as well.